But what I love about that, Tony, is, I mean, the word in all of that is design, right? So we talk like this show's name is Business Growth on Purpose, right? And what our firm does is we try to help people think about growth as something you can do intentionally by design. It's not something that just happens,
right.
Fortuitous.
It takes effort.
Right. It takes effort. It takes a lot of thought about how you do it, positioning, all those things. So design is such a critical thought. But what you're really helping us see, there's layers to that design. It's not just, I have an idea for a new stapler that's easy to use. Okay. But getting it into mass production where you can sell 500,000 units a year is a whole different thing. And that's all the detail. And then taking into account, okay, we're not going to build this in a vacuum. We build it in the world today, right? The earth today as it exists, supply chains such as they are, materials such as they are, labor such as it is. So what happens so in that world, just to finish the thought, so designing sounds like a really rigorous and challenging endeavor when you can start with a clean sheet of paper. Okay. But what happens, as I'm sure, I can't imagine 35 years, this doesn't happen a lot, where it's not a clean sheet of paper, where you're walking into a situation where somebody has kind of a messy situation. They've already invested like, $1 million in R&D. They've done the tooling. You kind of inferred that before. Is there hope for somebody in that situation that is now the circumstances on the ground have changed, and what was a unit target price of, let's say, $50 a unit now has become $80 a unit? What do you do? So I'm just curious, how do you interface with somebody who has already deep investments and they kind of like, I want to change as little as possible?
If there's hope, we're going to try to find it. That's a messy situation, and honestly, a lot of engineering companies won't get involved. If we can't start with the clean sheet of paper, we don't want to we don't want to pick up somebody else's problems. We don't feel that way. We're really look at things from the business perspective. You've got a product that you've invested. You have sunk costs in. You've invested time and money and effort, and now there's a problem. Okay, we may not have helped from the start, but if you want us to help you now and pick up where you are and try to save those sunk costs and try to solve the problems that you're facing, we're willing to do that. And there usually is something salvageable. You're usually going to be able to find find a way with some creativity, and you've got to balance that. You've got to look at, okay, it would be so much better if we could start over and do this and make a new tool, but financially that's just not an option. I mean, that costs X amount of dollars, and that's crazy. This is the next best solution, and we can get there in a reasonable amount of time and effort. So, we're balancing our costs with what the steps should be. So yeah, we could get to a great solution that wouldn't cost any more, but it's going to take us 4 weeks, and that's not reasonable in time or money. So you've got to balance all of these things, and you've got to look at it like I would look at it from a business problem. Like, with my company, I want to get the most for my dollar. Sure. And how can we help our client get the most for their dollar, considering their sunk costs, considering, the supply chain, current issues, everything, lay out all the problems, and we're going to do our best to give you the best solution in terms of time, money, and sunk costs.